Evening, folks. Welcome back to the Buddy Martin Show. It's a Wednesday night. That's the time we have Allie Pete Wilbur and David Moulton. And tonight, a very special guest, someone most all Gators know. You saw him play basketball. You heard of his dramatic story, now his book. I'm very honored to bring him aboard the show tonight. Stand by for what is going to be a really interesting night with Patric Young. Coming up next on the Buddy Martin Show right here. Tell your friends and neighbors you're live.
It's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening, welcome. We're going to go right to the Orange and Blue Room and get Patric. I want to say thanks to my host tonight, Carson Ponder, a longtime friend and my former quarterback guru. We've been operating here in his house in Ocala and broadcasting out of it. It's been great. So thanks to Carswell. Let's go to the Orange and Blue Room and see, well, he used to just call him a basketball player, then a broadcaster, now author. He's racking up all those accolades, and you remember him as a guy who was, work ethic was without peer, and a guy, one of the favorite Gator basketball players ever to play in Gainesville. He's on the program tonight. Hello, Patric. Good evening.
How you doing? I'm doing great. What's happening?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking about the times I saw you play, diving on the floor for balls. You epitomized the hustle and work ethic. I think it's a playoff game, I believe. I can't remember. We were talking about last night, Scott Carter, where you got a key ball on the floor, which kind of bailed the game out. You have a great work ethic. Where'd you get that work ethic from, Patric?
I think it's just something that's always been innate in me. At a certain point, you realize as a big guy, there's so many other ways you can focus on helping your team win. And scoring is not always going to be that avenue, especially if you're a big guy like me that doesn't stretch the floor and shoot the three. So, Coach Donovan, when you play for a coach that you love and you have teammates that you love as well, it's nothing to put your body on the line and do whatever you can to help your team win. So, it comes from a multitude of places. And, I think ultimately it comes from, speaking at the UF's ROTC program a few weeks ago. And it's not just about the standard that whichever route that you're going to go to as a person, as a professional, but it's a standard in which you hold yourself to. That's how you build trust. That's how you build a reputation. That's how you have a legacy. That's how you can look back and say, because I lived up to the standard, I have no regrets. And I didn't always have that when I got to Florida. It took me a little while to grow up and mature. And grateful that Coach Donovan was able to snap that 18-year-old immaturity out of me, as most of us need when we're young 17, 18-year-old boys thinking we know more than we do. And it's actually translated over to where I am now in life with my health and fighting through. Hey, Tommy, it's Patric without a K. Come on, man. But just giving you a hard time. But man, that's probably where I would start, buddy. That's a great question. Sorry, I went a little in depth on that. But if you're firing off good questions like that, I can't help it.
I tell you, I was just thinking about how little did you realize that mental toughness you were developing through Coach Donovan would stand you instead for a later time in your life when you really needed it. And I can't wait to talk about your story. Sit and Rise, or rise and sit. I get it wrong.
Sit,
Rise.
sit to rise. Sit
Yeah.
to rise.
Sit to rise. Yeah. And I did, by the way, I had not read the book. I have read excerpts from it. I've seen it. I ordered it online this week. I'll have it. And by the way, Tom Ingram is the guy.
He's the man.
You know him. He's one of my
I love
best
Tom.
friends.
I love Tom. He's
I
awesome.
just talked
man.
to him tonight.
Yeah.
He wanted to stay up. It's too late for him at 9 o'clock. And you
9
have
o'clock.
inspired him, as you know. Tom and I go way back. We're great friends. In fact, I'll be staying in his house Monday and Tuesday. So he told me to tell you he won't listen live tonight, but they'll catch it tomorrow. This podcast was available for people tomorrow. So I know you know Tom, and he thinks the world of you.
Yeah, same. And forgot how he and I got, he reached out on my website. I think that's how we initially got connected. And then Freddie, there he is.
Yeah.
Then from there we just connected because he had his own health issues that he was going through, and I don't know, he wasn't expecting me to call him. I think it's hilarious. People reach out on my website and they put their email address and they put their phone number, and they are very surprised that I actually called them. So whether it comes to anything of fruition or not, whether it's a speaking engagement or whatever, I'll call you. If you reach out on my website, you get a 904 number on there.
Yeah.
And if even that's all it comes to, at least you get a chance to, quote unquote, talk to the great Patric Young. And I say that, tongue in cheek.
I know about that. What's interesting is that as we talk about your career, you now are highly skilled as a basketball analyst on the SEC network.
Oh, that's another questionable thing there. But
well, no, I've seen you develop. I see you.
What are you doing over here?
Hey, listen. I know.
You're going to make me have to start. You're going to make me have to start earning those paychecks.
Well, listen. I know talent. I've been in this business for almost 55 years. I know talent when I see it. I've had some great ones I work with. I see you developing, and I think I want to say this in a respectful way. The dramatic change in your life and your backstory, has only enhanced you because of your character, which has come out, which will, I know it's not what you want to go through it to get ratings. The bottom line is that it makes you real. And you know that. It makes you real to people. And you have a capacity, I'm not going to preach here tonight, but you have the ability to reach people on several levels now that you didn't before. Am I right?
No, I completely agree with you. You couldn't have said that any better. And, I think social media and what television does, oftentimes it makes people believe that other people have things figured out. Other people have this kind of glorification of where they actually are in life. And, I'm not here to compare my story to anybody else, but someone said something to me that made a lot of sense. Tim Tebow is a dynamic speaker. He's fantastic. He stands for a lot of great causes. He does a lot of great things, but it's like Tim's story isn't really one of, the beginning. You talk about his mom not, going by what the doctor said of him getting aborted as a baby. We wouldn't have Tim Tebow if he would follow that decision. But going, when you think about his career and he won a Heisman, then, lost his senior year, went to the NFL for a little bit, got cut, bounced around. Like, it's not really that sobby of a story. Like, yeah, it's tough. Like, his dreams didn't go the way they wanted them to. But like for me, I went through I didn't achieve all those amazing things Tim did. I made it to the NBA for a little bit and played overseas, but going through this car accident, it really put a different dynamic and perspective on my life that I think a lot more people can relate to and can inspire more so, because it's like I'm living this and I'm still in the middle. I haven't just this thing happened and I just overcome it, and I'm on the other side. I've just seen it. I've witnessed it. I'm grateful for it, buddy. I'm super grateful for the people that have told me, "Hey, your story is affecting me in a positive way," and that's what keeps me going. And I can't wait to see what continues to happen from here.
Well, it's really been interesting, and we're going to take the story narrative all the way through from
Yeah,
the
man.
night you had the wreck and all that, and we'll get the whole thing intact. Tell folks how to get the book. I went to Amazon, bought mine, and as a fellow author, I don't want free books. I want to buy books because
Thank you. I
helps
appreciate
my
that. I feel the
friends.
same way. I feel
Yeah,
the same exact way.
yeah. I know Tom Ingram said tonight. I said, I got 8 of them at home, buddy. I bought 8. I'd have given you one. I said, no, I got to buy one. That's the whole deal. So
Hopefully, Tom had ordered 6 from me a while back, and I signed them. And
yeah. You'll see him Tuesday night.
I'm hoping if he didn't get them, I should tell him that since I see him Tuesday. If he didn't get those 6 in mail, I'll just hand him 6.
Well, you know what? He'll tell you if he didn't. I'll see you Tuesday night along with Tom at Freddy's. So and we'll talk about
I'm excited, man. I might actually go to our bipolar baseball team plays FAU that Tuesday.
Baseball.
So I might sneak in there and try to see a baseball game as well.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Look, there's somebody online that really wants to talk to you. You may have talked to her before. She's one of the really, I hate to say up and coming, because she's been doing this a long time, one of the best podcasters in the business, and she's a Gator Sports, and she is good. You talk about legacy. This woman's got like 9 legacies. Everybody from her granddaddy, her daddy, her cousin, her uncle, her brother, her husband, all played for the Gators and Gator football. And that's our good friend, Allie Pete Wilbur. Say hello to Patrick.
Hey, Patrick.
Hi.
How are you? Hey, buddy.
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing? Wow, you have lightened up the scene already. Things look so much better. I'm sorry, buddy. I hate to say it. You and I got to step our game.
I'm with you 100%.
We don't have any colors on. We don't. My background is terrible.
There you go. She's shaming us. That's what she's doing. See that helmet to her right, to her and your left? What that is? You know what that is? Tell him what that is.
This
not an original, is it?
This is the helmet from when my grandfather played.
Okay, that's still pretty awesome.
He was in the early 50s.
Scotty Peak.
At UF, yes.
That's incredible.
And her husband, Eric, the punter, and I don't know, is your brother, I don't know, I've lost track. You're a quadruple legacy, but also a terrific podcaster. And I was just telling Patrick, we were sharing this, I'll stop talking for a second, that number one, if you watch basketball, you had to be a fan of the way Patrick played the game. Yeah, he was telling me about his work ethic and how he got it. And I was telling him that as unfortunate and tragic as his accident was, that in a really sense of the word, it's made his viewers on SEC Network respect and admire him even more. And I know you see you shaking your head. I mean, because it makes it real, and not only if you like him, now you're also pulling for him. So he's got it all going on right now.
Oh my God!
Going on. I don't say I got it all going on.
You have been fabulous on ESPN. I mean, and SEC. It was really fun to watch you during the tournament. It was fun to watch you during the season. And I think viewers connect with you, but you have a television gift too, which you may not have even discovered had your accident not happened. So, you're crushing it out there.
Well, I did. I had to have my undergrad is in telecommunications. So this was definitely it's a field I wanted. Yeah, but it still doesn't mean just because you have qualifications, like Emmitt Smith has all the qualifications to be a television person, but he was awful.
Yeah, he was. He was awful. Yeah,
he was so bad. Yeah. And it took a lot of work, obviously, through my rookie first year, because I wasn't really watching college basketball as much. I was following the Gators through my professional career, and I had to learn all these coaches' names and these players. And then my second year, we changed to this transfer portal nonsense where I have to try even harder to figure out everybody else's names. But everyone there at SEC Network makes it so easy to love what you do, and even on the Saturdays, because Saturdays we are there for a long time. Those are
Yeah.
long days in the media.
Yeah, they are.
We find a way to just keep laughing, and Dari Noka and I, we wordle together. We play Tetris while time is passing, because some of the games, sometimes I got to be real with you, some games are awful. They
Yeah.
are. They are. Hey, I'm being truthful here. Some
We
games
like
are
that,
really
don't we,
hard
Alan?
to watch.
We like that. That's one of the things that I would just drop a name for you when I was working on with CBS. My friend Terry Bradshaw, when he was first starting out,
Yeah.
and he was struggling a little bit in the studio. He'd done games, and I said, at the best of my ability, I said, look him, sit up first of all, look him straight in the eye, and say what's on your mind. And he had a hard time criticizing the Steelers, his old team.
Oh yeah.
I'd say, Terry, you don't work for the Steelers anymore. Your check is signed by CBS, brother. So if they look bad, you got to say they look. Because I know. Well, it turns out he became a pretty harsh critic, not because of me, and of course a great commentator. So you got to, Alec. He's already got a leg up on it already, didn't he?
No, it's so funny you say that. It's so funny you say that, because after my first year, my boss came. It's fine. They give you some feedback. Say, hey, going to the next season, be mindful of these things. We want to make sure we ask mindful questions, and don't say, we want to look objective. And I'm like, cool. And they're like, Pat, so they're like, PY, until the Gators start signing your checks, it's the Gators, not us, not we. And I'm like, cool, that's fair. I get that. I can work on that. And then Ron Slay comes from Tennessee, and he waves the orange flag every single weekend. Oh, you should see how much he cheers for his Tennessee Volunteers when we're in commercial break, or the game's just going on. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's great to see people so passionate, but I'm like, hypocrisy, maybe.
Well, we have a lot to cover. We're going to do that, but Ali, I want to give you a chance to share, and David Moulton will join us. I want to get to that whole story of how your life changed, and how you got through it. You've become one of the most inspirational people around. Like I said, Ali, my good friend Tom Ingram was paralyzed himself, a former world-class water skier. Ron Zook told me he was a great athlete, and I know Tom. And he suddenly woke up one day, had a stroke of his spine, and could not walk, and went through a lot of the same things. I know you guys shared stories that Patrick did. And so you start thinking about it from the standpoint of not just being a dramatic story, but being something people can empathize with and can actually help them. Now you're talking about a whole nother level, Allie.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that you are open enough and brave enough to share your struggles and, and triumphs too, is helping a generation of people. And I think that is really admirable and honestly so important.
It is. No, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, when I was writing the book, there's times where I'm just like, do I want to write this and actually put this in there? And we're the most qualified to help the people that we used to be, or the people that are going through difficult things that we have faced. Our stories and trials might not be the exact same, but even in sharing the vulnerability, if someone's going through something that's completely different, it just shows the power there is when you are not trying to just forget or eliminate or selectively pick and choose what things you want to share and what things you don't. Obviously I didn't share every single detail, but I shared enough to let people know, like, this was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not have done it on my own. And for me, what helped me was community and my faith. That's me personally, but there'll be other things for people. I just know that you have to look outside of yourself. You have to look within yourself and outside of yourself. Like, I had to be real with myself of being scared, of having fear, of not knowing what the future was going to hold, of, because you cannot get to, like, I wanted, obviously my goal is wholeness and peace and freedom and independent, but if we can't be real about where we're starting, just like a GPS, if I cannot say this is where I'm starting, this is where I'm at, how are we going to have any type of path or know the path to get to where we want to get to? And it helped with, seeking therapy, listening to podcasts, prayer, having a great quality of friends. You got to, like, not only, and that's what I love so much about Gator Nation and my time there. It's like, I have people that obviously our relationship started through me being a Gator playing basketball, but I have so many friendships to this day in Gainesville and through that are way more than me ever. Like, I haven't worn a uniform in 10 years. And yet I still have people that came from Gainesville and showed up in my hospital room when I was there and prayer for me and all types. Like, it's priceless. Like, I knew going to Gainesville was going to be a dream come true, playing for putting that jersey on. Had no idea it was going to be, even 10 years after, the way that it is now. Like, I could not imagine having ever gone anywhere else.
Gator for life. We're going to go backwards here 1 second. I want you to take me to that moment of terror when you in Nebraska that night, what happened, and we'll go back and talk about how you got to that point and then how you got past that. I want you to tell the story which you tell in the book. So let's do this. Let me go ahead and play this commercial and come right back, and we'll get you start telling us about that horrible night when the worst nightmare happened, and then we'll talk about how you got through it. All right?
All righty.
All right. It's Jeffrey Meldon. Jeffrey Meldon. Jeffrey, you do a show where you ask a lot of questions. I've got one for you right now, okay, regarding how do you know whether your case is being handled right and what to do about it. In medicine, you can get a second opinion if you're not satisfied with the doctor's opinion that they have. And do you have that in law? Can you do that with lawyers?
Yeah, buddy. As a matter of fact, we get quite a few calls from folks that have signed up, particularly with the big box law firms, that they do a hell of a good job of putting ads on TV. But after that, they don't really measure up to the way we try to create a client experience that's outstanding. And we're always willing to review a case and give a second opinion, just like with a doctor, because not all law firms are created equal.
I guess that's the normal thing. Just go to Meldon Law, Google it, and find out, and just give them a call. And like you say, if you come in, you get to see a Meldon. You don't get shuffled off to somebody else. You get to see a Meldon, and that's good to know because a lot of people don't know how to do that stuff, like me. And maybe you can coach us. All right, thanks to Jeffrey Meldon, and you can check him out if you have a case you want to run by him. He'll be glad to give you a second opinion.
I'll be on his show Saturday.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he's a good dude. He does a lot of things for Gators. Yeah, he's a good guy. You got to know. And so take me now, Allie, let's cut to the scene. If we were opening a movie scene, we start out, I guess, that dark night on the Nebraska road, right?
No, it wasn't nighttime. It was like 10, between 10 and 11 a.m. I was working, doing some irrigation work. If you didn't know or think that Nebraska is, if you're not in Omaha or Lincoln, any of those other cities, it is quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Boring out there. So it forced me to try and find some other ways to pass time when I was out there. Basketball season was over, and I think, we're called to work. We're called to do stuff, whatever that thing may be. And for me, just that period, that season of time was to do some work on the side with this irrigation company. And I really enjoyed it. Early mornings, but we'd be done in the day by 3-4 o'clock, after starting our day at 4:50 in the morning. Gosh, that was great. But it was just one day that didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary, as I was juggling a lot of things at that time. And single vehicle car accident, car flips over, and in that moment, as it's happening. I just remember as the car is flipping over, it's just like, is this really happening? Is kind of just where I was like, is this really what's happening in the moment? And when the car flipped over one time and landed back on all fours, which I'm grateful for, on the one roll. And I felt a pop in my back as it compressed all that force. And it was terrifying. Like immediately I knew something was wrong. And I'm just thinking like, I need help. I need to be able to reach my phone and call everyone, anyone. And was able to do that. And, I wasn't down there for too long before an ambulance and a helicopter came, and 40, an hour and some change later, I was getting surgery for 8.5 hours on my back, getting 2 rods and 12 screws put in.
Emotional, I know.
Yeah.
Emotional, and it's
Yeah.
and I mean, it's terrifying for me to even hear it. But the reason I wanted you to bring that up is I think it's important for people to know where you were, and now where you're rising to, and how you got that is such an inspirational story.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to bring up such an emotional subject, but it's something we'd like to hear.
No, I'm glad you just said that. So yeah, where I was to where I am, that's so important, because I think again, with social media, with what we see, we or just people in general that have success, if you would say, or have overcome, you don't see the horrifying, difficult nights and all the things that the mental health crisis and the things that they went through to, points where you want to quit, points where you want to, you can't believe what you've lost. You're grieving over those things. And no, that's where it's extremely emotional. Just being able to accept the reality, being able to find hope for the future, that, okay, this is what has happened. What now? And it's just so vitally important, whether you have faith or not, in something bigger than yourself. I have faith to believe on a basis that there's things working that I don't see, out. If that's the basis in which you want to start, I believe there's a reason behind a lot of things that we go through, because if not, we wouldn't be such fragile human beings. We are so fragile when it comes to the things that life can throw at us, emotionally, mentally, physically. And it's allowed me to, through this whole process, just to have such a level of gratitude for family, gratitude for friends, gratitude for the things that we overlook often. One of my best friends, he called me when I was in the hospital last year dealing with an infection. And he lived in Austin, Texas. And last year, if you remember, Austin, Texas was like 120 degrees, like every day in the summer. And he was out there cutting his grass at his house, and obviously nobody wants to cut grass in weather that's that hot. We know that probably too well here in Florida. And he's cutting his grass, and he just has this mindset of like, I don't want to be doing this. I'd rather be doing a million other things. And he thinks of me, and he's like, Patric Young, my best friend, would pay any amount of money to be cutting my grass right now.
Wow.
In this weather. And I'm like, yes. And when he told me the story, it's like, yes, without a doubt, I would cut your grass with scissors, Alex, to be doing, the things that you're doing. And it's one of those things too, where a lot of people don't know exactly how they're going to respond in the situation until they actually experience it. Like, I cannot tell you that I would be where I am before any of this stuff happened. But, we're capable of much more, and we're much more durable than we actually think we are as human beings when we come together and we have people that believe in us and we believe in ourselves. So I want people to have that. You're going to face some. We're all going to face some tough stuff, but don't lose the belief in yourself, and don't misplace your the relationships that around you that have belief that you can do things too, because we need each other. We do.
And that's what we want to hear, Allie, right? That strength strength at those times, right?
Yeah, and I think you said something a couple of minutes ago that was so striking to me, and it's actually advice I'm about to pass on to my 8th grade nephew. He came to live with us a couple months ago, and he comes from kind of a rough family situation. And the statement that you need to be honest about where you are to
Yeah,
be able to know the path forward, I think is such good advice for pretty much anybody,
it
right?
is.
I think that you can apply it to so many different situations in life, and that is the right attitude to have. And look at what your path has brought now. Like, could you
Yeah.
have predicted the day before your accident happened that this was where you're going to be sitting now?
No, without a doubt. And it's fun. It's funny. I listen like Jimmy Dykes and Chris Burke. They have a really good podcast called Coach Me Up on anywhere you can look at podcasts. And they had David Pollock on, and I know I hate that I'm going to be talking here about a Georgia Bulldog, but he's the one Georgia Bulldog that I will say I'm
David.
okay with.
Good man.
He's a
Yeah.
great man. So as you know, he was a first team All American, first round draft pick into the NFL. He broke his neck. Didn't get paralyzed, but was told that he was never going to be able to play football in the NFL or at a high level again. And as you can imagine, that's devastating for him in his own right, because like he wanted to do a lot more with his life in football, play for a long time. I'm sure he had aspirations of one day being a Hall of Famer. To this day, he will say breaking his neck was the best thing that ever happened to him, which is insane.
Yeah.
And but I understand, because exactly what you said, Allie. I have seen the good that has come through. Like, I didn't imagine that I'd be here, but without this accident, I wouldn't have written a book. I wouldn't be speaking. I wouldn't have the relationships that I have now. There's so many things I would not have been, because it's easy to focus on what I can't do and what I didn't yet do, but it's like, look at the things that I can do and have done, and can continue to go on and do. So I'm just excited. I'm excited for what the futures holds. I actually have a speaking engagement tomorrow morning in St. Augustine at 8:30 in the morning, which is, who wants to drive an hour first thing in the morning to get to commute? I don't, but we're going to do it, and we're going to be energetic about it, and I'm going to bring my best.
That's great. And I want you to say, oh, David Moulton, and then if you would, just
David,
just take us through after that to those moments when you reached down to find something to get you through the day, and what it was, and how it made you get through it. So let's.
I found some of the best advice I got when we're overwhelmed and things really are really hard is to keep things simple. Honestly, it might sound too simple, but literally, being it first off, like, you're being able to, and this, you don't have to journal, you don't have to write anything down. I'm not going to say give you this. These are the 5 things you need to do. No, I'm saying keep it as simple as saying, like, okay, let me identify that I feel overwhelmed today. All right, let me be truthful to myself about that, instead of trying to, even though I'm overwhelmed, I affirm today I'm going to have a good day. I'm not talking about the results. I'm not talking about the circumstances. Today's going to be a productive day. Today I'm going to give my best. Like that, literally today when I was in the hospital for so long, it'd be like, all right, of course I don't want to be here, but today I'm going to be nice to everyone that comes in my room. Like, and it gives you the onus of control back. It puts you back into the driver's seat of your life, for, even though that might be minute and small, like, we have no idea how much kindness really impacts people when we are intentional about it. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of other things you can do when you're in those moments that are dark and hard. Been making a phone call, what? But I think the simpler that we keep things, we like to, as human beings, we like to make things complicated, more complicated than we need to, and that's not necessary. It's not necessary. That is what has helped me when I need to hit the reset button.
David.
Well, I think we've all been through, very difficult times, whether it's a personal health crisis, when it's a family member, or what have you. And Patrick, we're very familiar with your story. Thank goodness that you're more than on the mend, and glad that you've turned awful into good.
Yeah.
And wish you all the best. And your hometown of Jacksonville is very proud of you.
I hope Gainesville is proud of me too. Gainesville is home number 2. I was talking about it to my best friend and my goddaughter are in Gainesville, and it's hard not to see her because I love that little girl so much. Even though she talks and talks and talks, but it's the best. She's the best.
Well, she'll be coming for your job one day, but
little 3-year-old knows everything.
Yeah. Well, David, feel free to jump in and get yourself a question. I want to get to current basketball.
Let's go.
And what Todd Golden has done there. It feels like and seems, just from my viewpoint, that some stuff's going on. And the kind of basketball they're playing and the recent recruits they got. I mean, can they get any more rim protectors? My goodness.
I know, right? Yeah, that's a good point. Can they get him? I think at this point, I'm really, and the player that I'm really excited about for next season. I think Denzel Aberdeen has a chance to make a huge jump. I've loved the way that he competes and the way he plays, the way he's stuck with the process of, not playing that much as a freshman, late, not playing super a lot early in the season, but the minutes that he got, in the season, he made the most out of them, and then obviously made a big jump for the Gators at the end of the season because, it's nowadays to have a player like that, like a Denzel, that's going to stay at a program for 3 seasons when they're not playing that much. It's so easy. You can transfer as many times as you want. You can as long as there's no academic restriction regarding like credits not transferring over or like you're not on pace for, like, you can transfer as many times as you want. So it maybe it's part of me too, just kind of reminiscing and like, yeah, Denzel, I know you can do it. But one big thing for Coach Golden has to do, he has to coach better defensively outside of just having rim protection. Rim protectors do give you that kind of safety net, so you think guards can think they can make more gambles and what. But I think it's great seeing the Gators have a team that can score. We love that. Everyone loves scoring, but when they need to get 3 stops in a row, I haven't seen this team do that consistently. Like, I need them to have a team that can get 3 stops in a row and not give up straight line drive baskets, play some defense without fouling. There's plenty of teams out there that do it, so they're capable. Like, it's not recreating the wheel. And but it's so hard. It's so hard for Coach because he's got to recruit guys to come in, recruit guys to stay, recruit guys to transfer in, make sure there's enough NIL money to get these guys in. Then he's got to find ways to coach and teach these guys basketball. And then, to keep his sanity, he probably should make sure his wife is happy too, right? Got to make sure he's cultivating that relationship. I think that's vitally important. And then he's got to, fawn over the boosters and do all these other things that, it's being a college coach, man. I always say the best job in college sports is a fired head coach.
It is 100%.
Right? Did you guys not see Jimbo Fisher? My man got $76 million to go home.
Sign me up to be a fired football coach or basketball.
Right.
But no, I really like Coach Golden, and I want him to be here for a really long time. And he's adapting. He's adapting as best as anybody can right now. But hopefully, we'll get some type of legislation or something that, at least levels the playing field a little bit for teams across. My hope is just that, like, NIL is not going away, but maybe it can be something that we don't have to talk about as much anymore. Let's talk about what's happening on the court. Let's talk about the product.
We talk about that all the time. David and Buddy and I do about, we've gone from, I always use this example, but when my husband played in the 2000s, you could not serve players cream cheese with their bagels because the carb to protein ratio wasn't right. So like UF couldn't give them cream cheese, it could only give them butter. And we've gone from that to the Wild West that we are currently in this moment. But like there's
and butter. And I'm glad you said butter because you couldn't give them peanut butter either.
Couldn't give them
That
peanut
was
butter.
couldn't
Right.
give peanut butter. That was a violation. Butter, yes. Peanut butter,
Because
no.
peanut butter had too much protein.
Yes, it was like considered a meal. Okay, so you could like put a condiment on it, if you will, but your peanut butter made it a meal.
Yeah,
Right.
there was only
Yeah,
certain
nuts.
protein shakes that they could serve because if the amount was too high, that was considered a meal. Like it was, and that was literally 2006. I mean, not that long ago. But to where we are now, which is wild. But there's got to be some common sense things we can do because you're right. It shouldn't be what we lead with, but it is. It dominates every conversation about college sports right now.
I know. There was that's pretty extreme, but there was a girl. I can't remember if this was at Florida or I just read about it. She washed her car with university water, and she had to pay back like I don't know $9 and got suspended or something like that for. I'm like, who told on her?
Right.
Tiger Woods. When Tiger Woods was at Stanford, Arnold Palmer took him to lunch, bought him like a burger, and we're talking early to mid 90s here. So we're talking $6-8.
Yeah,
Arnie gave an interview, talked about going to lunch with Tiger and treating him to lunch, and the NCAA said to Tiger, "Pay it back or you're done."
Steve Spurrier went on a recruiting trip in Miami when he first came there as an assistant coach. He and I think Kim Helton down there, and he saw Red Anderson, his old buddy. He was coaching at the school, and he went out to watch his team practice. And one of the kids is there, and the kid needed to ride back, so they gave him a ride, and they stopped to get a hamburger. So Steve goes back to Gainesville. He's up in the office. He's getting his receipts out. Spurrier, he's going to get every nickel back. So he's, here's Burger King, here's this. And Alan Trammell, somebody said, you realize you just committed 4 NCAA violations by doing that? It's amazing. So talk about the book. And I don't want to dominate this conversation. I want to know these guys to have a chance. Just a little bit about why you decided to do it and what it says and the message you're putting out there about, I don't want to say comeback, but whatever you want to call it.
Right. But I want to address something that Allie just said because it reminded me, the NCAA from the beginning had the right perspective because they wanted to keep the integrity of the game.
Right.
They wanted, because there was a time where alumni, whatever sport was, they wanted, hey, I want that kid to come to my school. Like, can we pay him money to come? No, you can't do that. Like, that's not fair. Not every school has alumni that can do that. And it's got into the point where it's just like, gosh, the NCAA, they are limited in power, but for the power that they do have, they wanted to make sure you knew they had it.
Yeah.
There was no plan in their mind as seen with the blinding of the power, the amount of power that they had to enforce. Like literally, Reggie Bush just got his
back.
Yeah, got it back. Like that is one thing where everyone's in alignment of saying, like, goodness, this should have happened forever ago. But we are where we are now because there was no contingency plan. There wasn't a belief in the mind of the NCAA that this was ever going to happen. Mm-hmm. And now we are where we are. But, what's even funny about, you bringing up my book, just think I couldn't have written a book and sold it.
No.
As an author. I could not have written a book. I couldn't have written a book about, I couldn't have written a kid's book. I couldn't have written a book about shooting free throws under pressure. And who knows? This could be like a book that was 25 pages. That wouldn't have taken, and I could not have sold that under an LLC as someone that's just promoting their own business, personal thing outside of college sportsman influence. So that's just so extreme, but so glad that, so glad that I can, and I'm not. We're not under that realm anymore. But why I wrote the book, the company, the publishing company that I wrote it with. Originally, I was going to write. I reached out to them before the accident, and I just felt like I didn't have a clear message. And obviously, after my accident, my message couldn't have been any more clear with what I want to share, how I wanted to share it, and the avenue in which to do that. And I think has opened up so many doors, and it's given me a chance to share my story in a way of so much detail that you normally can't always get out in conversation. The things I might forget. Yeah, it's something I'm super proud of. Something that I want to do. I will do again one day. I think I might give this one about another. I can't believe John Gordon has written 30 books. Like, dude is he's unbelievable. One of my favorite, the energy buzz guy. Written 30. His hair is on fire. And Tim Tebow, he's a 5 times best-selling author. He's had help, I'm sure. But yeah, it was it's been so much purpose behind it, and I highly recommend anyone that has a story, and then we all do, to take the time to put pen to pad, pen to paper, and at least at minimum, it'll be a legacy for your family to come and read and learn something about you. And I just hope, when I wrote it, I just hope that this book was going to help one person, and I believe it's done that. So let's add one more. Every chance we get, let's add one more.
David, your turn, David.
Actually, Patrick, what interests me is if you were playing today, do you think you would have stayed at Florida all those years? Or do you think
I still, and it's so sad. I'm glad you asked that. Like, coaches are getting questions. Guys come, they're recruiting, they're having conversations. I really like you, coach, and I think this might be the right fit. But how much are you going to pay me?
Totally. That's all it is, Patrick, is what I'm being told. They say, listen, you're a good dude and all. Can we just get to the bottom line? How much?
Like, instead of coach, I love Coach Donovan. Like, I think if he was in this space, he would still find a way, obviously, to compensate players, because this was something he was totally against. He had a clean as a whistle. Coach Donovan was, but it's like, dude, we're gonna do everything we can for you, opportunities wise. Do you want to play basketball at the University of Florida? Do you want me to be your coach? Because if those two are no and no, you need to go somewhere else. I'm not gonna wait. As a coach, I'm not gonna waste my time for someone that's iffy on allowing me to be their coach, and they're iffy on this program. But I don't think I don't know if coaches are saying that right now, because
can they say it right now?
They should be able to say it. I think they should. They can say it, but it's like, how many players are these young kids, with the wrong people in their ear? Mm-hmm. Oh, really? That's what he thinks, that he can just get you for free or get you for a discount value?
Yeah.
No, it's not it. He just thinks that you're thinking too short term. That's what he's thinking. And
I think, and obviously we wouldn't know because it's been has it been 10 years now already since Billy went to the NBA? But
10 years, man.
But Patrick, I think Billy would have been a nicer Dan Hurley. Okay, and Hurley came out after he just went back to back at the first time since Billy and the Gators, and said, it's funny. Everybody's saying they don't know how to coach the players nowadays. I actually coach them harder today than I did 10 years ago because we're paying them. We're treating them better than players have ever been treated before. They have an obligation to this university, to these students, to everybody who's paying them. And he didn't say I treat them like dogs, but he said I coach them harder now because I feel I can. They owe me. And I have a feeling that Billy would have been the same way, that Billy would have made sure, like Hurley says, I recruit the parents and I make sure I get kids in here who will take my coaching. Okay, because we're not going to pay top dollar. We're going to pay pretty well. But, he's basically said Kansas is paying top dollar. Cal, wherever he is paying top dollar. We're not paying top dollar. But I got to get
But
the parents on board that
he's
I am going to
preparing.
coach
He's
their
preparing.
kids hard.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, he's preparing kids. I truly believe not only for potentially going to the NBA, but I think the way that he's doing it, he's preparing these kids for life. Dan Hurley is.
Think
Like,
about how underprepared for life kids are with NIL now. There isn't a stick it out, earn your place, work hard, and see the rewards. It's I'm going to jump in the transfer portal the second I hear something that I don't like.
yeah, it's quite short term, and it's. Gosh, I mean, you look at every situation is different, of course, but there's you should not be, barring some like military service or something like that, you should not be 25 and 26 and 27-year-olds old competing in collegiate sports because you're on your 7th or 8th year and you've transferred. Like, what is that preparing you for in life? Like, yeah, would we all have held on to the college dream a few years longer if we could? Yeah, but we understand, I'm not going to say all good things come to an end, but there's just a season of life that you have this period of life where there's some of the most learning and growing up you get to do is in college. It's your first time being on your own. It's your first time being responsible for your own decisions, even though, as an athlete, they still do silver spoon you quite a bit. That don't prepare you for understanding that when you get out of college, everything costs money. Everything that they were just doing for you for free, those things cost money. And I just hope that there is going to be a revitalization on education and not losing sight of that. Some type of challenge that these coaches are going to have pushing their kids to compete. Like Riley Kugel, I think the kid is a great kid. I think he comes from but he got out competed, and he did not want to find a way to bring more value to the team this year because he wasn't expecting the competition that Zion Poland and Walter Clayton brought to him this year, and Will Richard. So he went on to Kansas, and I got to tell you, over at Kansas, they recruit over you too. So his problems aren't going to disappear. He's going to have to figure out what's best going to be suited for him when things get tough and hard and challenging in the world. Like, how do I overcome this instead of just trying to run away?
Great stuff from Patric Young, who will be signing books Tuesday, I guess before the show and after. Terry Norvell lets you do that now?
Yeah.
T-Mac and I go back.
That's my guy, man. I love Terry. He's so funny.
Yeah.
He's one of one.
Well, we'll see you up there Tuesday. And I wanted to say one more little thing before we let you go, make you work for one more minute for the show. We didn't intend to keep you this long, but we couldn't help it. You were too interesting. And that is, give me a quick analysis. We know about what's happened at Kentucky and, the new program in there, new coaches. Alabama was a big surprise this year. And tell me about the landscape of the SEC and how these Gators, depending upon who they get out of, if their players don't leave, how you think they'll be and how highly ranked.
Yeah, it's still too early to tell. I don't think Micah I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play this year. Micah Handlogden, great. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play this upcoming season with his injury. I just think the Gators, I saw a few times in the season, just it seemed as though their mindset wasn't, we can win this league. And I think that is what Coach Golden needs to instill into, they were 2 games away from being right there. The only bad losses that they had were at Tennessee and at Ole Miss. Almost had Kentucky at home, should have had Alabama on the road, should have had A&M. Those 3. That puts them right in the mix to have won the SEC. But the landscape, Mark Pope has gotten a great staff. Hopefully that can, what helps him is having that Kentucky name, obviously, and with his recruiting. Very weird. Everyone in the space of college basketball thinks, leaving Kentucky and going to Arkansas was not what you do with Coach Cal. You don't leave Kentucky. But he's going to make some moves over there. He already has so far, I think, getting some guys that have decommitted from Kentucky and have committed to him at Arkansas. Oklahoma and Texas coming in. It's really staggering. Texas has only been to one Final Four that was not with Kevin Durant. They have all this persona, and if you say horns down, it's apparently worse than like cursing them out. But it's like, well, y'all haven't done anything to earn the privilege of like you saying this is an insult.
Well, they should have said it, because now it's what everyone's going to do every single game.
Oh, they're not ready for the SEC. If they think
not ready.
If they think Missouri is not going to horns down the heck out of them, Missouri sings "Mr. Brightside." It's a pretty popular song, and I remember they weren't even playing Kansas. They were playing somebody else in the SEC, and the band stopped playing the song. They go through and sing it again, just so they can get an FKU in at the end. FKU. And I'm like, people don't understand how serious the fandom is in the SEC, but the landscape, the SEC is in a good place. I think finally this year will be the first season that you see 9 SEC teams in NCAA tournament with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma.
Patrick, great stuff, man. And we look forward to seeing you at the book signing. Come back again, will you please?
No. Okay, I will. I promise.
Yeah, and I'll make Tom Ingram ask you for more books to sign. So
yeah, sounds like a plan.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great stuff.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you. All right, so I want to get you characters with one more question before you go. First, let me tell you people about Titan MRI, now open and serving the greater Gainesville, North Central Florida area, focused on you, the patient, having a great customer service experience. Most people lead a busy life, and although have regular business hours they have available, they can make you by appointment evenings and weekends if you need them, just to meet your needs. Check them out. Their equipment's modern. If you have problems with getting an MRI and you get that claustrophobic feeling, well, you won't have it there. TitanMRI.com. All right, let's talk about Reggie getting his Heisman back. And as somebody wrote today, well, why shouldn't Florida get back their 1984 New York Times championship? How far is this going to go, David?
Well, I mean, buddy, I've thought for a long time Florida State lost an indoor track and field championship because of an online course, in which I guess something was done 10 years ago and 2 kids on the track team were in the class. Louisville's men's basketball title, Memphis and UMass's Final Four appearances, Michigan's Final Four appearances with the Fab Five. I'm all for all of the banners that had been forced to be taken down or put in closets. I'm for bringing back out, because everything looks absurd now. Mm-hmm. Everything looks absurd. So why don't we just end the absurdity? Let's face this is what we are. Here it is. If you want to put an asterisk next to it, you want to put an explanation, fine. But we should see all the banners.
Allie, they should bring back Gator bait this year.
I mean, listen, I'm here for the Gator bait cheer coming back for sure. I'm here for the 1984 national title. We can put it up in the stadium. But I just think, when you have people like Johnny Manziel who are sitting there telling you about all of the horrible things that they did in college and the amount of money he took and whatever else, and his Heisman still existed, but then Reggie Bush's was taken for taking at this point what is a small amount of money compared to what we've got around for NIL right now. It does all feel a little bit ridiculous. I do understand the people that make the argument like, but it was not legal then, but it just, in their grand scheme of things, if you look at all of the people that stand up there on that Heisman Trophy ceremony that have accepted the statue in the past, I guarantee you can find lots of them that took $100 handshake, or that accepted a job for their mom, or a roof repair, or whatever else prior to getting their Heisman. So it just feels wrong for him to not be able to stand up there and celebrate it. And him taking money, again, a small amount of money compared to what we have floating around for NIL right now, didn't make him a good player. It didn't make him set records and, propel that USC team. It didn't have any effect on that at all. So let him have this Heisman.
By the way, I think USC lost the 04 national title over it too. I think Pete Carroll and USC. Didn't they take the 04 BCS title away from them?
I think you might be right.
Yeah. So I that's got to go back to USC also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Called reparation, I guess. Here we go.
And he's still out on campus. Like, I know that they're very like arm's length with him at USC, but first of all, USC knew that this was going on. There's 0% chance they didn't know, or at least somebody in the program knew. And so to treat him like the pariah when he's the kid in the situation, the grown-ups that were in there are the ones who really should have paid the price if someone was going to. But I think it's got to be a clean slate.
Guys, great stuff tonight. Thank you so much. It was great to have Patrick. It was fun to have him. You got to root for that guy. I know we all do. So thanks, David, and thanks, Allie.
No problem. See you later, guys.
Good night. Thanks. All right, folks, wrap it up with a word from our sponsor, RentStar. Many of you know they're a very special group to me. They've been sponsoring my shows for like 6 years now. And they do not only that, they also are good stewards in the community. They're very good about doing that, and they're looking out for your and my health. And here's how. They want more of these clinical trials, because this is how they bring these new therapies to us safely. Without the clinical trials, they wouldn't be able to do this. They like to have these volunteers come in, and if you qualify, you could get time, paid for your time and your travel, and you get study-related medications and procedures. There's no charge to your insurance. You might also gain access to new investigational medications or devices not otherwise available, and receive, as I said, compensation. So check them out. Go to rentstar.net, find out how you can qualify, and if you do, it could be good for you, and certainly is good for all of us when we do this research. RentStar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. I'm Buddy Martin. Thanks to our special guest, Patric Young, and of course to Allie and to David Moulton. Back tomorrow night with Ben Troop and the guys right here on the Buddy Martin Show. Good night.